Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour is a Boink Studios production. Follow us on Twitter at Boink Studios and check out our Facebook page where you can see all of our projects, past, present, and future. And now, on with the show. Oh my God, it's about time. It's about time. That's right, folks. If you've clicked on the icon and you've clicked play and you've downloaded and subscribed, well, God bless you and yours, because you have finally tuned into the very first edition of the brand new show. If you know me, you know the main event. We'll get into that stuff later. Hopefully you know the material that I write and all that good stuff. If you don't know who I am, well, hey, I'm Tom Clark. He's Kyle Smith. This is Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour. Kyle, dude, it's about time. It's taken forever, and I blame you for every bit of it.
Me? Why?
So,
please explain. Please explain yourself, sir.
Because we both know that in our partnership, you are Marty Jannetty and I'm Shawn Michaels. Okay, straight up. I had to super kick you through the plate glass window because obviously you have dropped the ball. So
I dropped the ball.
I'm going to blame you for this.
I do drop the ball a lot, but I always manage to come back and fairly strong. So
yeah, you got to get the comeback. You got to have you always have a strong third act. That's you every time.
That's right.
So, dude, what's up, man? I haven't talked to you in a bit. We've been trying to connect on the show and everything. So what's up with Christmas, man? Because Christmas is around the corner.
It is right around the corner.
Tell me that you're ready.
I've been hanging up a lot of Christmas trees, and not for myself personally. So
I see.
Because, my line of work, it's like we deal with a lot of produce, so, and Christmas trees,
right,
unfortunately, is part of it. So I've been like lining up Christmas trees in front of our store like all month long.
You're helping make the Yuletide gay.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's you. So, Mr. Gay Yuletide. Yeah, it's a very, very odd pause there.
Yeah.
Mr. Gay, Mr. Gay Yuletide bringer. Dude, Christmas is great. I love it for my kid and all that stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. But I'm more looking forward, I shouldn't say more. That sounds terrible. But Star Wars, my God in heaven, is right around the corner, dude. It's like, I cannot believe it's actually here. Tell me that you're amped up for Star Wars.
I am, but I'm also, fearful of it because, it's going to be new, but, it's like they're bringing back some of the old characters, and I'm just afraid what they're going to do with them. It's like I really don't want Luke Skywalker to be evil, but that's a rumor. That makes me scared.
Yeah, honestly, it's because he's not been on one poster. He's not been in one trailer. They're not talking about him. He's, of course, not talking about it, Mark Hamill. No one's saying anything. So, yeah, dude, I don't have any idea. It's the rumor is he's Kylo Ren. He's the dude under the mask, and he's going to be the new Sith guy.
They could throw a swerve and just totally, blow our minds. So I'm reserving until I actually see it.
Well, the other story going around, not only is he's possibly Kylo Ren, but maybe Luke is dead.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude, maybe he's dead at the first of the movie, or that he dies at the end. I don't know how that would play out, but here's my thing. You've got, if he's Kylo Ren, I have a problem with that because, and maybe dude, as a writer / analyst, I tend to overanalyze a lot of stuff, not just pro wrestling. Right? I mean, you know me, I've always been that way. So to me, I'm watching the previews and thinking about the possibilities of him, having turned the dark side, and he's got there's that scene where the Kylo Ren character is like, I will finish what you started. He's looking at Vader's, melted mask from the bonfire that happened in Jedi.
He's almost fallen into Bane territory. I will find out what happened to you.
It's like,
finish what you started. And then I will break the Batman.
As long as he doesn't just show up with like that weird furry coat.
Yeah.
I don't know what was up with that. It's like, listen, I would be intimidated by you, Bane, except for two things. The creepy electronic alien looking device you have on your face and the furry winter coat, because I didn't really find that very intimidating. Well, he must have been very cold like all the time, so
he knew it was going to be that time of year, Gotham, It's like, I'm going to pack in layers. Cold. I'll pack the white beater, then I'll pack the big fuzzy coat. There's nothing really in between that. It's just the white beater and the big fuzzy coat. So, if he does get hot, you can tear that, strip down.
And I'm sure you think maybe he strangled some defenseless animal to make the fur on the coat? I mean, I wonder how that happened. You know what I mean?
Sure. He probably stitched it to the coat with the animal entrails.
Yeah.
Whittled the needle out of his bones and. Yes.
Well, they couldn't talk about that because then you'll piss off the PETA people out there, and you don't want to do that. So, dude, here's my problem with, and I don't have a problem with Luke turning the dark side per se, but I need a really good reason. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for his character. What is the motivation for his character to turn the dark side? And not only that. It's a two-parter for you, all right? Number one, give me something that's plausible that will make sense.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, if they can make it make sense, I got no problem with it. But it's got to be something serious. Because,
right.
He freaking fights his dad to, he almost beats him to death in front of some old guy that was probably masturbating, in that chair before the whole fight happened. That was one of our old theories. That was one of our old theories.
That's right. The chair spins around really slowly. And
really slowly.
The Emperor's touching himself inappropriately, as it were.
I mean, they already mentioned it in the movie.
Well, that's true. Yeah, see, I remember us having that discussion. I don't know how we were this even happened, but you're like, well, they, Luke and Leia had sex. And I'm like, they did? And you're like, well, they implied it. And I'm like, because they kissed twice? That implies sex? Like, because I want to tell you something. Remember the scene in Ace Ventura when they all find out that Lois Einhorn is actually a guy?
Right.
And everyone's like spitting and puking in the. I mean, to me, the moment they find out their brother and sister, they should have been puking and like Luke scraping his tongue with his fingertips, like, wah!
Come on,
she's taking like a hot shower, you know what I mean? It's like
crying.
Yeah, she's crying in the shower. Which is used to, that's how all my dates used to end, was the women, crying. Well, actually, it was usually me crying in the shower. Let's just be honest. So, but, those days are over.
I do other things in the shower.
But, all right, so.
It's all pipes. It's all pipes.
Yeah. You can't, it's an old house. What do you want from me? You can't, getting away from
goes down the drain.
That's right. Oh God, it's disgusting. So getting away from the Emperor being a disgusting pervert.
Right.
Number one, where's the motivation for Luke to essentially turn heel? All right, but number two, on top of that, the comparisons between the Empire and the Nazi regime have been made for years, because you've got stormtroopers and shock troopers. You've got those cold, like the colors, the black and the white, the cold colors. And, Lucas made a point to never show a female in the Empire because, in his opinion, a female would have softened them up and gave them a sentimental edge where they didn't need one. I'm thinking, Have you ever dated a woman, George? Do you know what the hell you're talking about? Because that's not exactly how it works. You know what I'm saying? It would have made more sense to me if Vader had been a chick. So,
but now that you've mentioned it, now I'm kind of envisioning a female stormtrooper.
Well, there's females in this movie. They've got, there's going to be females in the Imperial. It's what do they call it? The New Order is what they're calling it, or the First Order, I think. Yeah, the First Order, I think it is. And but here's my thing about the whole comparison to Hitler and the Nazi regime. When Hitler went down, they all went down with him. So what would make anyone believe? All right, because the Empire didn't really come to become the Empire until, the Emperor recruits Anakin Skywalker. He becomes Vader. They reach the height of the biggest amount of power they've ever seen as a structure was Vader at the helm. Okay, and the minute that Vader goes down, just as Hitler went down, the entire organization probably should have went down with him. Yes or no?
True. I mean, there may have been, but they're saying this is like the First Order, so maybe this is just like a really small faction. Maybe it's, not, we're getting a sense that it's like big, but maybe it's not really that big.
Well, so in other words, I don't know, dude. There's some pretty polished stormtrooper suits happening.
True.
How many credits does a stormtrooper suit of armor cost for the First Order? Because those things are like, I don't see any battle damage in any of the commercials or trailer like TV spots and stuff.
It's like, okay,
they're all slick and polished up.
There's only a few of you that's going to get the new uniforms, but there's a whole bunch of you that's going to get the old ones. Okay.
That's right.
You got one guy.
I don't know.
He's holding up a stormtrooper helmet. It's got like a hole through it. He's like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
All right, guys, line up for the new suits. You got to see. Oh, I hope my name's on the list for the new suit, right? And you get up there and you're like, they're hanging on the new suit. You're like, I didn't get it. Shit! Like, you're all upset you didn't get the new suit.
Yeah, yours is over there in that pile, the big stinky pile.
And here's another.
You have to take the body out even to get your.
This is disgusting.
Pull the old body out to get the new suit.
Yeah. Because we all know the stormtroopers have horrendous accuracy, terrible accuracy. Like they never hit anything. Like
they can't.
I think the only time I saw. Yeah. I think I saw Leia. Leia got shot in Jedi, right?
Yeah,
Leia got shot in Jedi because, she gets shot in the shoulder. And another time I recall was in A New Hope when the one trooper hits her and stuns her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't recall any other time during the original trilogy that anybody actually got shot.
And she was fleeing in like this toga-like dress, so.
Right.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of agility there on her part.
That's true. Stuff gets wrapped up. I was in love. Just as a side note, I was in love with Princess Leia, man. But I loved her. But in Return of the Jedi, love became lust real quick. Because like the slave girl outfit to this day is the most iconic suit worn by a female in any movie ever made. Period. I can't think of anything else that would even come close to it. I mean, you could throw out there Marilyn Monroe's dress and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, the famous scene where she's standing over top of the grate from the subway and the wind blows her skirt up. That's pretty iconic. But in terms of being, oh my God, strange stuff is happening to me, what's going on? I'm a teenager. That'd have to be Slave Leia outfit. I mean, straight up, just holy crap moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And any woman that can, tame a giant worm like Jabba.
A giant worm. Massive slug.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Pizza the Hut, remember that?
Yeah!
Pizza the Hut?
Oh, Jesus!
Oh my God.
Man, and I don't know why, but that's one movie that needs a second.
You really think so?
Oh, hell yes. They do.
I mean, How do you make it without John Candy, though?
And they need to call it Spaceballs to search for more money.
I'm with you, but how do you make it without Barf? How do you no John Candy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe you can put another actor in it, and he's another Mog.
Yeah.
But
that's not bad because they're a whole species, right? So,
right.
Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
Right. What about what's his name? The guy that plays Drunk Uncle on Saturday Night Live.
Who is Drunk Uncle? You know what? If you watch Saturday Night Live, you're doing more than I'm doing because I haven't kept up with that show in years. To be honest with you, I was up to some with is Bill Hader still on the show or no?
No.
I see. I was familiar with a little bit of stuff they were doing when he was still on the show.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I have no idea. So.
But I would love to see that. Spaceballs 2. Man.
I think they've had a lot of times, but I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Drunk Uncle. Let's see.
Yeah, somebody look that up.
Yeah. I'm on it. It's not a problem. Drunk Uncle. Is it Jason Sudeikis?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
There you go.
He's funny.
I like him a lot. He's a funny guy. Yeah.
Or hey,
I like how he is so.
Horatio Sands.
He's so fun. He's like a used car salesman. You know what I mean? I like Horatio Sands too. So.
Yeah.
I thought he and Jimmy Fallon were a good team.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon's show is killing it, man. I think they've got the ratings. It's over. The popularity's there. I mean, he has moments on that show of the stuff they put together. He seems very respectful of like the older comedy and stuff. He had Don Rickles was on Jimmy Fallon, and dude, I have not laughed that hard at anything.
I love Rickles.
I mean, oh my God, dude, this was in the past few months that Rickles was on, and he slayed. I mean, dude, Fallon, Fallon cracks up all the time anyway, but of course, but
how old is Rickles now?
Oh my God, I don't know. He's got to be 80, right?
Well,
at least.
Yeah. Oh, and
maybe older.
Robert Loggia died.
He did.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
I hated that.
One of the best villains of all time.
Right. Robert
One
Loggia.
of the best heels of all time. Right. L. As in Robert Loggia.
And Robert Loggia.
No, he says, oh, as in, oh my God, it's Robert Loggia. That was just, what a great scene.
Yeah. And then
dude, I have to. I don't want to say destroy, but I have to be negative again on Star Wars. I got one more thing for you.
Okay.
All right. Now, again, all right. It's actually a 3-parter. Number one, what's Luke's motivation to go heal on the Rebel Alliance? 2, why did the thing not fall apart when their Hitler, which was Vader, die? Number 3. In terms of good old-fashioned storytelling and being so heavily impacted by the original trilogy, explain to me why I would even care about a new movie. Because didn't Jedi wrap up all the loose ends? I mean, It was the most. Is there a character in the Is there a character in the history of cinema? This is a good one that accomplished what Luke accomplished. Not once, but twice. He brought down, he put a dagger through the heart of the Empire when he blew up the first Death Star. And in the third one, not only was he responsible for allowing the Alliance to get in to blow it up twice, but he brought down the head of the criminal organization. He brought down the whole thing. So who else in the history of cinema can say that they did that much work? And then, oh, by the way, here's a new movie where it's all going to be undone. I'm like, what? And you know me, like you, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. We always have been. But give me a reason to want to go. I mean, I'm going to be there, obviously. I'm excited. I'm pumped up for it. And I think J.J. Abrams is going to do a fantastic job. But as the guy that likes to tell a story and enjoys a good story, explain to me, you know, why do this in the first place? Do you see what I'm saying? Does it, in other words, does it negate the all the good accomplished in Jedi to you?
Right. I mean, it is Disney, and so who knows what they'll try to do. I mean, I'm really hoping they don't ass rape anything. But
oh, that would suck. Yeah,
I know. But that's one movie that I really want to see. Like, I went to see the last three Star Wars movies, and it's like, you know, they were mixed reviews,
right,
all over the board on those. But I still want to see them. I went to see them anyway because I've seen all the originals, and I mean, there was a lot of things that I liked about them on their own. So that's the whole reason why I'm going to see this movie, is that I'm giving it, you know, the shot that it deserves, and then, you know, however I feel after that. I'll come on here and bitch about it.
That's what I want the show to be. I want the show to be a platform for you to get out your aggression.
Right.
And to really make a difference in the world by complaining about things that are so trivial.
Exactly.
That no one really cares, but nerds like us.
And it keeps you from, you know,
but that's okay,
taking it out the people that you work with.
That's true. Yeah, because no one wants to go postal. That's for sure.
That's right.
With all due respect to any postal workers out there that may be offended by that comment. Everybody's, you know, PC now, and you have to be very careful who you say what to about whatever and whoever.
Oh, I know.
So, you know.
Can't even look at anybody the wrong way anymore.
We're all just a bunch of girls. Can't get along because we're all sentimental. All due respect to any girls that might be listening. We don't want to offend you either. Jesus Christ. Let's just cover all our bases here. You know what I mean?
We're not out here to offend anybody. We're just, you know.
And when I say bases, I mean no disrespect to any professional baseball players that might be listening. You see what I'm saying? It just never ends. Like, how far do you go with... Oh, my God. It just, you know... I don't know. You know, here's what... And I don't know what you're teaching your daughter, but here's what I teach my son. You know, words... Because he got called a name. This happened a few weeks ago at school. He got in trouble for pushing a kid down. And I'm like, why did you push him down, son? He called me a name. I said, he did. He goes, yeah, I pushed him down. I'm like, wow, if only life were that easy. You know what I mean? Like, the judge is like, why did you shoot that guy? He called me a name. Oh, okay, cool. Case dismissed, you're out. You see what I'm saying? And I told him, I said, son, words can only hurt if you let them hurt. And I said, if you allow yourself to be hurt by a word, I said, you're giving the person that called you that name all the power. So why let them have that? Why let them have that moment? Don't let it bother you. Now, he's 7, of course. How much of that he's going to absorb and remember the next time it happens, who knows? But, you know, if he has to put a poor kid through a table, I'm good with that. But I'd rather back up and try to teach him, you know, I don't know if I want to say turn the other cheek, but like, don't let somebody's ignorance and somebody's ridiculousness affect you to the point where you're like, oh, I have to get upset and I have to be offended because I got called a name. Well, I told him, I said, son, won't be the last name you're called. It's going to happen your whole life. Just learn to not worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I don't know how we got off on that from
I know. Well, I was going to mention the new Batman versus Superman trailer, Superman versus Batman trailer. However, you want to, whatever side you want to be on.
That's right. Is this going to be like the Twilight thing where you got to pick one side or the other? That's how it's going to work. They're both vying for the affections of Wonder Woman. Somebody's going to get her pregnant or some such nonsense or whatever.
I'm kind of digging the look of it, but Eisenberg bothers me.
Oh my God! You mean the Joker? Yeah, he bothers me too. Yeah, right? Because he's supposed to be. I mean, he's supposed to be Lex, but he's looking like the Joker and sounding like him.
Well, yeah, he's just too punchy and annoying. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like I'm not buying you as Luthor.
Yeah, I listened to Kevin Smith's one of his latest podcasts about it, and he dissected it pretty well, and the critique he gave, it made a lot of sense, because like a lot of the trailer feels really good, and then there's parts of it where you're like, what? Like, and that's one of his biggest critiques of it was, all due respect to Jesse Eisenberg, but that's the Joker. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I
mean,
and explain to me why this is the third incarnation of Lex Luthor we've seen on the big screen. Gene Hackman being the first, right? And then what's his name?
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. See how I forgot because he irritates me so much.
Yeah.
And I like Kevin Spacey. If anybody was born to play Jack Benny in a movie about the life of Jack Benny, it's Kevin Spacey. You know what I'm saying? He looks and sounds just like him. But
yep.
I digress. But
that was a shameful performance.
It was, yes. Oh my God, he phoned it in. He did it over a weekend.
He did. Oh, he phoned it in.
Yeah, he was doing that stage show about who was it? He was doing a stage show about something. It doesn't even look like the guy. It wasn't Frankie Valli. It was someone else. And they flew him in to film all of his scenes within the course of just a handful of days. And then when he was done, he flew back out to where he was doing his show. And I'm thinking, well, thanks for gracing us with your presence there, pal. Glad you could show up and be bothered with it. But as I said, this is the third incarnation of Lex. And Gene Hackman played it. He was silly, but he wasn't too over the top. And Kevin Spacey tried to mimic that, and he took it a little bit too far. And now Jesse Eisenberg appears to be, Lex Luthor smoking some weed, it looks like. And maybe that's what makes his hair fall out. Kids, don't do the dope. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the pot, because the pot is bad for you. And I told you before, man, because anybody that's listening to this that knows the main event knows that I'm down south. Kyle is as well. He's a little farther west than I am. But we're still down south. And it's still pot down here. So for all you cool, hip liberals up north and out west, you're smoking weed or whatever you're calling it up there, it's still the pot down here. So I'm like, I don't care what you call it. I don't even know how I got off on that. But ask Jesse. Jesse's calling. He's smoking something. I don't know what's going on in that movie set, but yeah, he's pretty happy. But explain to me why in the third incarnation of Lex Luthor that once again we get a Lex Luthor that doesn't even even remotely resemble what happens in the book, in the comics. Tell me that. Because it looks nothing like him.
They're making him to be like some young hacker instead of, how he's been betrayed in the comic. He's a ruthless, intelligent arms dealer. And it's like, I don't know. It's just he's off. He's like the one thing that's off to me about the whole picture. But then the story's kind of off to me too, because it's like, so now we're Doomsday is no longer an alien creature. He's a creation in a lab. Well, I mean, he was a creation in a lab, but do you honestly think the Earthlings are smart enough to make?
I guess this is where the Smallville
way to cure our own, environmental crisis. We damn sure wouldn't be able to make a Doomsday.
This is where the Lex Luthor from the world of Smallville comes into play, where that dude, he used all his money and resources to fund all these side and secret projects underground and all these testing facilities, these different branches of LexCorp that were hush-hush, and money was slid in various places. So, like, that's what it is. He's funneled all this money into this part of his company to research and to take the DNA, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the trailer, it's worth a watch. Batman v Superman. Go check it out, because you'll see Zod in a body bag, and the body bag's being unzipped, presumably by Lex Luthor's people.
I'm sure, and they probably use his genetic material.
They take his DNA.
Exactly. And he looks all right, but I think there's little tweaks they could have done to him to really make him pop.
Yeah, he
seems really kind of flat to me. He needed something.
I'll be honest.
the given
I
person.
think the Abomination looked better than he does.
Well, that's what a lot of people were saying, that they were making a
think,
comparison that Abomination and, you know, this version of Doomsday look very similar. But see, but I can also see it from a budget perspective. The less that you have, you know, because they probably sunk a lot into this movie, and they're like, we can only afford this much effects. So they probably have to keep it to... It's like, we're paying enough for Affleck, okay?
Yeah, they spent all their money already, so...
It's like we made it a whole new Batmobile.
And
we gave them this bad, snazzy new suit.
First thoughts on...
Then there's those other guys.
Yeah, they're casting... And if you don't know about Batman v Superman, folks, you probably don't know about the upcoming Justice League film, which is supposed to hit... Is it 2017 they've got Justice League slated? Because they're supposed to be working back to back to back on all this stuff, because they got a lot of catching up to do. So you've got DC Cinematic Universe, and they've basically cast the entire Justice League. Even the guy that plays the Flash on TV does not get to play.
Oh, they cast.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's not.
No.
Yeah, it's not him. They've cast another actor to play the Flash.
How dare
well, if you've seen the Flash, you know the Flash is a damn good TV show. Once again, the creative minds at DC and Warner Brothers can get their TV right, but they can't get the big screen right to save their lives, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But if you want a frame of reference, by the way, people, all you have to do is go to our website. If you don't know our website, shame on you. Because our website...
And they'll give you some sweet links and awesome pictures.
Oh, my...
All the latest fads out there.
Shameless self-promotion. Hey, man, let me tell you something. Yeah. I'm an attention whore when it comes to my work online. I'm going to tell you right now. Anything for a read, man. Anything for a hit. That's me. So I don't think I won't shamelessly plug our website, which, by the way, we don't have a name for it yet. Right now, you'll have to look this up. TomClarkBR.wix.com/Boink. Hence the title, Boink Studios. And in fact, the very first column I wrote for the new site is called A Tale of Two Flashes, which was published on November 19th, which goes into detail about, well, there you go, the two Flashes. Grant Gustin plays the Flash on TV, and he's good. In fact, he's really good at what he does, okay? But Ezra Miller has been cast as the Flash for DC Cinematic Universe on the big screen. And Ezra Miller. He's young. He's talented. But, man, I read an interview he conducted, and I'm like, wow, this dude, he might be on the pot because he's, like, all over the place. That's going to be a running theme, I think, for all of our shows.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the pot. Because, his quotes, I'm like, what did he say? Like, he's just insane. And I just, you can't blame this guy. He was offered the job. He auditioned and got it. So, but I mean, again, you're Warner Brothers. You're the creative minds of DC working with Warner Brothers to get your properties out there on the big screen. And there's Grant Gustin 30 feet away doing a bang up job on a show that's getting nominated for awards. And is getting great ratings and telling some good stories. Fun stories, by the way. And you don't use Grant Gustin as the Flash on the big screen? Like, what?
Well, but it probably has a lot to do with contracts. He's probably under contract with the CW, so it's like, and that's what it boils down to. Like, he probably wouldn't want to do it. It's like, because I'm sure he would want to, but... Once again, it's like you think, well, okay, maybe Warner Brothers spent all their reserve cash on obtaining certain stars.
Yeah, they blew their wad on.
They blew their wad on Ben Affleck and
on Ben Affleck. And dude, I don't know. Give me your take on Affleck? You saw him in the suit. The trailer shows Superman ripping the mask off. So
I'm digging the new bat suit. It looks really good. It looks like it's looking more like the classic, it's like a mix of, like, say, Jim Lee's Black and White and The Dark Knight Returns. Because I'm digging the short ears on it. And I like how they did the suit, because it looks like it's made out of some sort of bulletproof material. Like the whole suit's made out of some sort of bulletproof material.
Yeah, I can see that. Like a body sculpt, you know. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I like
Here's
the
my
big
question
bat
for you.
Black, bat on it. Looks real nice.
Yeah, it's the classic Frank Miller design, right?
Yeah.
From Dark Knight Returns. But let me ask you this. Is it functional? Like Christian Bale's suit to me seemed, and I thought that they did like Chris Nolan's people did a fantastic job in that trilogy, getting over the fact that Christian Bale's suit had to be very functional. It had to serve a purpose, it had to work. When he came in with some hand-drawn designs for Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman's character.
Right.
And he tells him, and he's like, I've got an idea. And he looks at him and he says, oh, you want to be able to move your head. And it's like you never thought about it until that movie. Well, we did. The fanboys knew. But a lot of people, you didn't think about it till that movie happened. You're like, that's right. He can't turn his head. Because remember the Michael Keaton Batman, the original, when the Joker's up in that helicopter and Keaton spins around, he has to turn his entire body to look up in the sky. And I'm like, because he can't turn his head. You know what I mean?
I don't know how this one's modeled, though, because it's kind of neat on the new Arkham Knight game. There's a scene where it shows him, because how how Cal's design in the Arkham City games, and it's kind of cool because he presses a button on the back of his Cal, like right at the base of his skull, and it pops open, and kind of like unvacuumed off his head. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it's like it's like sealed to him somehow. Like, give me an example. Like when go back to Star Wars, when Luke takes Vader's helmet off, and you can hear that, like the suction being released.
Yeah.
You can hear that hiss, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going. Here's one thing for sure. With Star Wars, and then Batman v Superman's following up in May. It's coming out. I think it's May, right? And you talk about in the span of a few months, you're going to have some of the biggest movies.
Oh yeah,
that comic book fanboys have basically ever seen, right?
Well,
when we were teenagers, we could only hope for this.
They got their work cut out for them for this movie because they are having to play catch up. I mean, Marvel has really established themselves as like the superhero movie killers, and I watched the trailer for the new Captain America: Civil War, and it looked really, really good. I mean, it looked just as good as Winter Soldier.
Right.
So, and that's
it's
going to be a really interesting story for them to tell, especially if they do it right.
I still am. I'm not very keen at all on the casting of Wonder Woman. It's Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I mean, and again, no offense to any women out there that's listening to the show, we appreciate your support, but all due respect, but Wonder Woman has always been portrayed as a tall, full-figured, fully developed, if we may say, Amazonian warrior princess, which is what she was, what she's supposed to be.
But
Gal Gadot is not even close.
It's like it's hard to find an actress that can fit that frame of what her ideal body type would be, though. I mean, I guess, but I heard the same excuse, and I know it's a different situation. I heard the same excuse when they cast Warren Beatty as Dick Tracy, because the response from creators, producers of that movie, well, he looks nothing like Dick Tracy, and they're like, no one looks like Dick Tracy. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you mean to tell me there's not an actor with jet black hair with a square jaw that you could have hired? You got Warren Beatty because it was Warren Beatty. You were hoping for a smash hit. You had Danny Elfman do the soundtrack.
and you were trying to play off the Batman popularity, the buzz that was going around. That was around, what, 1990? Dick Tracy came out? Because Batman was 89, I believe.
Right.
So you're trying to play off of that, and I get that.
Yeah, we get to see that.
Yeah, we did. Dude, we've seen, I don't want to say the majority, we saw a great number of comic book films together.
Yeah.
Because that was the ritual.
That was a good
But man, it was. See, here's the thing. The first Batman kicked the doors open because, to that point, we had really nothing. I mean, I remember those days.
The Christopher Reeve Superman, was a really good one. Like Superman 1, awesome. Superman 2.
Right.
But then they started going down.
And then you stop there.
Yeah, then you stop there. Cause it's like they start going down the hill, and, it's like Superman 4 is inexcusable.
Oh, my God. They owe us an apology for that one.
Marvel's had some, really cheesy attempts. Some should remain nameless, and like others, you got to have honorable mentions because they tried. Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, for example.
Screw it, I'll name him. How about Dolph Lundgren's Punisher? Yeah, like you just said that. Not only like you just said, like, yeah. Why God? Oh my God! He's sitting cross-legged on his knees in a sewer, and he's completely naked. At what point? Why the hell would you be completely? You're in a sewer. That can't be very healthy.
No,
right? It's not a very clean environment, for God's sake.
Frank Castle's war on crime ended abruptly when he got, a really nasty staph infection.
Yeah, he got typhus down in the sewer. So he's like,
he got like shot and cut and he's kneeling naked in the sewer. That can't be healthy.
Yeah, God knows what all he caught down there. Jesus Christ, it's some terrible stuff. I don't get it, man. But what else? The first Captain America. Remember they did. Little known trivia fact for you, if you don't know much about the original Captain America film, which we're all trying to forget. A guy named Matt Salinger played Cap, and he was J.D. Salinger's son, the guy, of course, that wrote Catcher in the Rye. So there's a bit of trivia for you.
All right.
And plus, who can forget two things? The Red Skull was Russian.
Yes.
Not German. Yes. And number two, the phony rubber ears on the mask.
Yes.
And, oh my God, what a bad movie. Dude, the one, the old 70s Captain America TV show with what was his name? Red Brown, that played Cap on the motorcycle with the crash helmet. That was more entertaining than the damn movie was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that. It had some cool stunt scenes in it, like him jumping on that bike.
Yeah.
But
it was a great time because the Evel Knievel. If you liked Evel Knievel, that you would love that show. So.
And he put the shield on the front of the bike too, didn't he?
It was clear. It was instead of red, white, and blue. It was red, clear plastic and blue.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. But
and
it was all we had. It was
the $6 Million Man and
yes,
the Incredible Hulk TV series.
Oh, and speaking of $6 Million Man, they're moving forward with the new big screen $6 Million Man. You know who it is, right?
But when they up wouldn't it be the $6 Billion Man?
Actually, I think it is. Good call. I think it is actually the $6 Billion Man.
Okay, good.
And it's going to be Marky Mark is playing him. So
Mark Wahlberg, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can I be honest with you? I tend to get Marky Mark and Matt Damon mixed up. Does anyone else out there get Marky Mark and Matt Damon mixed up? Swear to God, because I do.
So is it Matt Damon that's going to be?
Matt Damon! Right? I'll never forget that. This is where smart guys like me will go elicit help from the Google machine.
The Google machine. I like the Google machine.
Let me.
It's a place I look up porn.
It is going to be Marky Mark is in the lead role.
Ah, okay. So Mark Wahlberg.
In fact, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love the sound effects.
Are they going to do that? So. Like, oh man, it would have been awesome if they turned it into a comedy and used Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah, yes and no. Yes, because I love Will Ferrell, but no, because he would have ruined it.
Yeah.
But here's something. It's one of the latest. I mean, dude, this is fresh off the presses. This is where you come to for geek news. We got to throw this out at the beginning of episode 2, by the way.
Okay.
If you want like geek news and pop culture and pro wrestling and comic books, movies, and TV, look no further than Boink Studios, folks. Marky Mark promises edgy take on the $6 billion man. So evidently this is not going to be your daddy's $6 million man. And he says, we'll be shooting in the fall. I'm very excited. It's an amazing script. Can't wait. I think it's going to be sure. I'm not sure what game he's wanting to change. But it's action, but it's very character-driven. I would say it'd be more like a Jason Bourne film than a Marvel movie. Grounded, real, and edgy. Once again, a big-time Hollywood actor has to take a little swap. That's been happening a lot lately. You've been keeping up with the talk that's been going back and forth? Because he's not the first one to do it. Jason Statham took a swipe at Marvel recently. Because if you keep up with the Expendables films, and I enjoy the Expendables, I have all of them on Blu-ray. I enjoy the films. I take them for what they are. They're not supposed to be Shakespeare. If you're expecting Shakespeare, don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? So take it for what they're worth. Jason Statham took a swipe, and the Expendables guys have in the past. Paul Bettany, I think it was on Conan that Paul Bettany was interviewed. And Paul Bettany, of course, played the Vision in Avengers 2. Fantastic job as the Vision, by the way. They couldn't have got any better actor.
I was really impressed with the fact that even the costume went with, the red and the green. I was like, oh, that's awesome, because it's like I was so afraid that they wouldn't have the guts to do it. Yeah. And they did.
Kudos to the makeup team on that movie, because, man, his skin truly did look synthetic. It looked artificial. I mean, what a fantastic job. But he took a little subtle swipe back at Jason Statham when he suggested Jason Statham should perhaps start taking some acting classes, which I thought was like the best retort you could possibly have. And I like Jason Statham, but Paul Bettany's like a classically trained actor, right? So I'm sorry, but the reason the Marvel movies work and the reason they touch so many people on so many levels is the fact that it's not just a shoot 'em up movie. It's like actual story at the core of it.
Yeah, but
which is
and
impressive.
You also they've done a great job establishing all the characters, so you care about.
That's true.
How they're progressing. You care whether or not they're going to save the day. So I mean, they've done a really good job with maintaining it.
And it's characters that it's characters that you recognize, it's characters that you grew up with, that your kids are growing up with. But the creative forces that have been given the duty of bringing these Marvel ideas to the big screen have done such great work and done it justice on so many levels, man. Because like Joss Whedon gets it, obviously, and knows what he's talking about, and Jon Favreau gets it. And you got to have the right people in the right roles. You got to have the right actors who respect the source material, who don't look at it and say it's a comic book film.
It's also very important to pick the right people for these things, because they made the good point with like Lord of the Rings. It's like all the people that they cast for those movies, they specifically wanted those people for those parts, and they got all the right people, and that's the reason why those movies worked. And I think that's the reason why the Marvel movies are working, because they're getting all the right people for all the right roles. I mean, everybody they casted for Guardians of the Galaxy was fantastic. Like, when they announced Chris Pratt was Star-Lord, I was like, oh, that's perfect. Dave Bautista as Drax, perfect. And then, of course,
Yeah,
you can't really go a whole lot wrong with Rocket Raccoon or Groot. So.
Oh God, dude, I'm gonna tell you something. I was as entertained by Guardians as I was any movie that I've seen in 10, 15 years or better.
As a standalone, as a standalone movie,
because like,
so
exactly, if it had no ties to any other Marvel feature, it wouldn't have mattered. Because you really did. There was moments in that movie, especially when Rocket is there and Groot you think Groot's blown all to pieces and Drax pets him and you're like, I expected Rocket to go, get the hell off me, right? But at that very moment, right? It wasn't the most touching moment of the film.
I love Kevin Smith's description of that scene, him watching it, and he plays it for his wife.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you crying? And he's like, no. Like, I can't believe I let you stick your dick in me. And I was like, I felt the same way watching it, though. It's like, oh, could you get all teary-eyed? You're like, oh, no.
See, that moment right there tells you all you need to know about the creative forces at work behind Marvel Cinematic Universe, because that moment in a comic book, for a comic book fan, if we'd seen that in a panel, in an issue in front of us, we never would have laughed at that. We never would have looked at that and said, oh my God, he's petting, oh Jesus. It never would have happened, because we have the sensibility of, we treat the source material with respect because it's what we do, it's what we read, it's what we enjoy. And to us, it's real life. It's like, it's not, it's a comic. No, it's a novel. It's storytelling. Pro wrestling to me is storytelling. It's not, it's a guy in tights. But you're missing the point. He's telling a story. The armbar is a story. It's not a way to slow the match down or get the camera in this position. And comic books are the same way. So if we'd seen that in a panel in an issue, no one would have laughed. Because it would have been, oh my God, it's heartbreaking. And the same thing for, like, they managed to take that moment that would have played perfectly well in a comic book for us and make it play for everyone in the theater. For people that don't even read comic books. And that is an art. That right there is an achievement in of itself. It's just get people who don't follow the medium to enjoy a film from the medium and about the product. That's amazing stuff to me.
Yeah,
that's why it works. So, oh man, I got to be honest with you. We've got so much stuff. This is why a podcast like this is fun, and it's going to continue to be fun. And that's why there's so many of them out there. I mean, if anybody listening, if you go to Google Play or you go to iTunes, you're going to be inundated with one webcast after another, one podcast after another, about the genre of comic books, because it's so over right
and there's
now.
always
it's such a popular thing, and
a ton of opinions on it. It's always great to explore like the different angles of it. So, I mean, that's why I do it. But
well, that's true. Although, if you're going to take anybody's opinion, listen to anybody's show, it's got to be us, because we're the only ones that are right all the time. So let's get that out here right now. I mean, that's right. That's not being arrogant. That's just being factual. So I'm all about being factual. Hey, listen, you're not going to believe this, but we have spent the first week. We have spent the hour. We're literally minutes away from the close of the very first episode of Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour. Are you shocked or what? It just flew by, didn't it? And we did. And here's the good part: we didn't even scrape the surface. We didn't talk about.
We could probably go on for a second hour, but
it's true. But we want to keep the first hour. We like to keep it tight. You know what I'm saying? And we like to, we self-edit, and we want to keep it fresh and hip and straight to the point, folks. So you don't have to hit rewind or fast forward too awful much. You can just enjoy where you are. Listen to it with no pants on if you want to, because that's usually how we record.
That's how we're recording right now.
That's true. Of course, I very rarely wear pants anyway, if I'm being honest with you.
I'm wearing crotchless panties and flip-flops.
Well, there you go. See, as long as you're wearing a Billy shirt that says America on it, then you're good.
That's right, America.
So
America.
you got that, you're good.
It's Donald Trump's face right in front of the American flag. Go America.
Oh my God! Talk about a guy that went from "Hey, I think he could do." Oh my God, he screwed up. I mean, it was that quick, right?
I thought he was some sort of weird potato man.
In the beginning, I was like, you listen to him like the first couple of months, and you're like, "Hey, man, I kind of." Oh, damn.
Oh no!
Yeah,
he went longer than a minute.
Yeah, he kept talking. Yeah. And we don't like to get political too much with you folks, but I'm.
But he's a train wreck, and we got to mention him.
He's a train wreck of epic proportions.
Yeah.
He, you know.
I'm moving to Canada.
Where's Luke Skywalker when you need him? That's what I'm saying. We got to find Luke because somebody has to get to Trump. I mean, I'm just saying it's got to, you know. I don't know. I think he's got the Emperor talking to him. I think that's what's happening.
Well, you know, it's like they did a storyline in the comics where, you know, he was delving into the dark side because he figured if he understood the entire aspects of the Force, because, you know, he'd already, you know, had trained in the light side of the Force, so he figured if, you know, he learned both, you know, he'd become that more powerful.
Right.
You know, maybe that delves into the Starlight, and he just becomes corrupted because, I mean, we don't know how much of an influence, like, you know, how much will do you have to suppress that, you know, is it like a drug? Is it, you know, is it almost being possessed, literally?
Oh, are we still talking about Trump? Because that's what it sounds like.
Huh?
Are we still talking about Trump? Because that's what it sounds like. We're still talking.
No, I was talking. We were talking about Luke because you were saying you're looking for Luke.
No, I think we're still talking about Trump. We're talking about a guy that gave into the dark side.
Well, yes, you know,
he's turned evil.
No, it has nothing to do with the dark side. He's his own flavor.
Let me ask you: maybe there's a wacky side of the Force. There's like the good, there's the bad, and there's the wacky, right?
Like they've got to have that retarded cousin out there somewhere.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Yeah.
No, and all due respect to any mentally handicapped people out there.
And why isn't there any redneck Jedi out there?
Well, because
I think that would be highly entertaining.
Well, because with any luck, the Empire took them all out. Because
Larry, the cable guy with the lightsaber, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how would that have played out in the movies. I wonder. You know what I mean?
Jeff Foxworthy as a Jedi.
I mean, if they had approached Han and Han had been a true cowboy in every sense of the word, not just cowboy archetype of a character, how would it have played out, you know?
It's Han as a Jedi. That would be interesting.
Well, no, Han...
I think he would use both a blaster and a lightsaber.
Oh, my God, you're losing me. I'm talking about Han as a redneck.
Han is a redneck.
That's what I'm saying. Han is a redneck, where Obi-Wan says, we need to save passage to the Alderaan system. We need someone that can take us. And,
we need to save passage to the Alderaan system.
And Han's like, man, you fuckers must be crazy, man. I ain't doing that shit. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that would, I don't know how well that would have worked.
You realize I ran the...
I made the kiss.
Run and...
Yeah, he can't remember. He can't get it out.
Yeah, I can't remember.
What the hell? Chewie, what'd I do? And Chewie he growls at him. Yeah, well, hell, whatever he said, that's what I did. I think it'd be great, like in the middle of the scene, he just turns to Chewie and says, I don't understand one damn word you've ever said to me. Because you gotta wonder, how did he understand anything?
I know.
If you're wondering... Go ahead.
It's like, do you take a class on Wookiee? Do you,
Well, how do you understand R2?
Empathetic to what he's saying?
How do you understand R2, for that matter?
Yeah, and why do they make droids scream?
Yeah, and why? Yeah, why? Is that like a glitch in the system? Is that like your computer crashing when they start screaming at you? What is that exactly? These are pressing questions, folks. This is like burning issues of the day for me. I gotta know why a droid screams. I don't know.
It's a weird thought to enter your head.
In space, no one can hear a droid scream. Right? It'd be like Aliens meet Star Wars.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's just like this all-encompassing, universe.
Yes.
It's like they haven't, bumped into one of those.
That's right.
They probably deal with it pretty, fairly easily in comparison to, a bunch of Space Marines.
Aliens versus Predator and Freddy versus Jason. I mean, what are we going to get next,
Alien taking on a bunch of Tauntauns.
That's true. Oh, my God. So,
instead of the screeching and be like,
oh, that may be the single best Tauntaun impression that I've ever heard in my entire life. You, sir, have missed your calling, because I'm telling you, if they start casting for Tauntaun voice actors, man, you need to take that phone call. I'm going to tell you right now. So,
I play Tauntaun number 5, and
he got his big break in the episode 8.
Then I was cut, but then I was promised to be on the extra on the Blu-ray.
Right. Yeah, I'll sue if I don't get on there.
I put in my best voice work, damn it.
All right, folks. As much as we'd love to keep going here, we don't, because honestly, I don't know what else to talk about. That's really a lie. I got a bunch more to talk about, but man, if we give it all away right now, honestly, you'll have no reason. Yeah, you'll have no reason to come back for episode 2. We can't have that happen. So we're gonna wrap this sucker up right now. But before we go, we're gonna tell you how you can find us online. Because I don't know if you've heard about it, but this thing called the internet, I think it's going to get over, man. I think it's going to catch on. And I mean, when it does, you're talking to one guy that's got his hands all up in it. And
I think it's done, and it's going to come back later on in the future.
Well, that's entirely possible. I mean, dude, I'm waiting for Skynet to go live. When Skynet goes on, I mean, it's it's game over for all of us. We're just going to have to hope for a big, 6-7 foot Austrian coming back to help us, or he's going to come back to kill us.
or just wanting our clothes. Yeah, with your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Tauntaun and Schwarzenegger all in the same episode, and a little bit of Kirk if you missed Captain Kirk earlier.
Yeah, a drunken Kirk.
That's right. All right, folks, if you're going to find us online, please look us up. The Boink Studios website, which we will officially name boinkstudios.com at some point. But right now, we're too cheap and too lazy to do it. It's tomclarkbr.wix.com/boink. You can find us on the Twitter machine. I am there at tomclarkbr. Kyle is there at KyleDJSmith. Feel free to look up my stuff if you will. You can find me on Bleacher Report. You can also find me on the highly esteemed Camel Clutch blog. My stuff also exists on sportskita.com, and you can also find me on my own pro wrestling blog, which is tomclarkbr.wix.com/blog. Please go check out the main event. That's our sister show. It's a one-man show done by yours truly, where I focus primarily just on professional wrestling, WWE, and pro wrestling stories and topics and news of the day. Please go check that out as well. I think we've hit everything. If you want to drop me an email, tomclarkbr@yahoo.com, please do so. Give us a follow on Twitter. Go check out our Facebook page, Boink Studios. Dude, I told you we were all up in it, right? I mean, just, knee deep all up in it. And we're just here to entertain. We're here to have fun. And hopefully you like what you hear. Please give us a follow, give us a listen, and come back for episode 2. I'm Tom Clark. He's Kyle Smith. We're going to be back real soon. Kyle, give us the final word. Go.
The final word is go. And go and listen to this podcast. And,
there you go.
Hit like or love it or leave it.
Want some more of it or something like that.
Because once we get you hooked, the first one's free, but after that.
Yeah, you got to pay for this shit because I got bills to pay. You know what I mean? We're not going to charge you very much. So, all right, man, that's it. Cool. Appreciate it, dude. We're out. Give us a listen. Give us a follow. We'll be back real soon. Check us out soon. Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour. We'll be back. Stay tuned, kids. It won't be long.